Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm T,
And I'm Nessa.
and together we are the Casual Fangirls. Today we are here to talk about the latest episode of the MCU's What If on Disney Plus. This week's episode is entitled What If Thor Were an Only Child. So before we jump into the episode, we want to make sure that everyone watching knows that they're about to watch a reaction video. So Nessa, take it away.
So, this is our blanket spoiler warning alert. Okay. So, specifically, if you have not seen the Thor trilogies, that is not our fault. If you have not seen Age of Ultron, that is not our fault. If you have not seen Captain Marvel, that is not our fault. And we'll probably be talking about the MCU as a whole. So, don't be mad at us if we spoil something for you. A lot of these movies have been out for about 10 years now. So join us. We're going to have T give you the recap.
All right. So in this episode, in this universe, Odin returns baby Loki to his ice giant family instead of taking him back to Asgard to be raised as his son. We open the episode in Jane and Darcy's lab in New Mexico, where their equipment detects an anomaly similar to the one that disintegrated the planet Alpha Star Icarus. She tries to warn S.H.I.E.L.D., but they ignore her just as our intergalactic guest arrives. It's none other than Thor, our party prince with the whole galaxy. While Odin is in his Odin sleep, back on Asgard, and Frigga visits her sister, which is hilarious. Can't wait to talk about that. Thor decides to throw a rager on Earth. Even Loki shows up, and we discover that they consider themselves brothers even in this universe. Jane and Darcy find Thor and confront him about Alpha Star Icarus. We find out it was him partying there, but Jane gets distracted by his flirting and ends up partying with him. She wakes up with a hangover and a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent knocking at her door. It's Rumlow, that fucker, and Agent Hill, who is currently acting director. They ask for her help to get rid of Thor and friends. S.H.I.E.L.D. calls in the big guns, aka Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel finds Thor in France, and they have a big showdown across the planet. Marvel is defeated and tells S.H.I.E.L.D. she didn't want to use her full power because of the destruction it would cause. They devise a plan to get Thor to a deserted area where she can use her full power. But before it all goes down, Frigga intervenes. That's right, Jane and Darcy called Mommy. Thor freaks out and tries to get his friends to help him clean up. They all decline until they realize Mama Frigga is on the way. They put everything back in place just in time for Frigga's arrival. Even Captain Marvel isn't on the scheme. But of course, Thor forgets one little detail, his party decorated hammer. Thor pulls up on Jane to ask her for a date and all ends well. Well, until seconds later when Infinite Ultron arrives. So that's what happened in the episode.
That
Nessa,
is.
did you like this episode?
So, after a string of like dramatic and like kind of dark episodes, right? We finally get this party, happy, kind of lighthearted episode. And I was just like, after the first watch, I was like, it's cool.
Okay.
Like I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. To me, the most interesting part of it was pretty much when Infinite Ultron shows up at the end. I don't know. There was just something about the episode that didn't just like I feel like the concept was great and I should have loved it and I should have been way more into it than I actually was, but I just was not. How did you feel about it?
So I feel the same way about this episode that I felt about the zombie episode, right? Which I think you described as me disliking it. That's not true. It didn't feel like an episode that had enough weight to it for me to care about what was happening in the episode, right? You like zombies, so of course you love the episode, but minus like it being a theme that either one of you like really enjoy, either one of us really enjoy, it's kind of like the episode where like it's a throwaway, it doesn't really have any weight to the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know that we learned anything that could, and I usually like ask this at the end of our episodes, like what implications are there for the MCU? There is strong implications, but that shows up in the last 3 seconds of the episode, right? So I would agree with you that like as the
Right.
watcher was kind of wrapping up, like, oh, they lived happily ever after, I was just like, that's the episode? Like I could have skipped this And then when the Watcher was like, "Oh wait," I was like, "Wait, what do we? Oh, okay." Like, so there is some
Yeah.
implications to this. I mean, I don't know if what, and we'll get to the speculating later. I don't know if what happens in this episode and this universe triggers the last 3 seconds. I don't think so. I highly doubt it, but at least we get to see it in this episode. So to wrap up, it was fine. Not my favorite, not the worst of the episodes. It was nice to kind of see, like you said, something a little bit more lighthearted. So that's how I felt.
It felt like an after school special to me, where it was, or like Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something like that, where it's
Mhm.
just like, ooh, that is, first of all, if Odin's gonna do anything, it's gonna be sleep.
He gonna sleep.
First of
Listen,
all,
he gonna get his full 8 hours, and he gonna let nobody tell him otherwise. And when Odin is asleep, what Frigga gonna do?
she said, I'm gonna go see my sis.
I'm gonna go hang out with
I'm
my
gonna go.
girls, drink my Chardonnay. Don't
My girl
nobody
went
talk
have,
to me.
she went to have brunch, bro.
She really was like, "Oh, my man's asleep. I'm going to brunch, and we gonna ball out." Basically,
She went
uh,
to have brunch. So it was very much like after school special kind of thing where it's like mom and daddy are gone. So what is the kid gonna do? We gonna party. And then it's like, then you're at the end trying to scramble to like clean up the whole house before mom comes home. They pulling up in the driveway. You try and get everything together, and then they walk through, and you like, whew,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it was just like, which is like a cute concept. I'm not mad at it, but it was just like, I don't know if I really cared to see it, you know?
I
I think the
couldn't. I
more,
didn't need it.
yeah, I thought the more exciting things were kind of pointing out some of the cameos or like some of the callbacks that were happening, and those kinds of things. I did like seeing that regardless of what the events happened in the universe, Loki and Thor still saw each other as brothers,
Hmm.
even though they weren't raised together. And I think that might even be like a nod to the MCU going forward. Like, I didn't really have too many implications for the MCU when I was thinking
Hmm.
about this, but I think that might be a nod to the MCU moving forward. And because we know that Loki is like either in a different timeline or universe or something like that. So he's going to have to run and find people like Thor and the rest of the Avengers to get them together to let them know like what's happening, outside of the
Oh my
timeline and
gosh.
stuff. So I
Thor
think this,
Thor is gonna see Loki alive again at some point. I haven't even thought about that.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think this is kind of showing us like at some point they're still gonna have that like brotherly bond happening.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really interesting that Loki was a full size frost giant. I guess like as a baby he was tiny, but when he grows up with his own people, he's able to flourish and live in
Yeah.
his truth or whatever. So that was cool. And it just felt really good to like have Tom Hiddleston still like play his, be his voice actor for the, and like kind of look like him a little bit too. I thought the frost giant like
Yeah.
looked like Tom Hiddleston a little bit. So that was all great, especially the
That
phone
was fun.
conversation where he answered the phone when Jane called and was like, "Oh, you got a friend." Like that was all like very that was
That
all like
was cool.
very cute. She should have been like,
I
"What are
like
you gonna
that.
do with my friend? You're like 25 feet tall. What the hell?" But anyway,
Listen, cause the parts.
anyways. Right. Like they don't like what? Anyways.
It don't go.
I would agree. I think it's to like reinforce their relationship and like prime us for the future. I absolutely agree with that. And there were a lot of other like Loki being in the episode, I think definitely was a plus. And there were a couple of other cameos.
Hmm.
Were there any cameos that like was like, oh snap, I wasn't expecting to see that person, or like was it all just like, okay, it's cool that they're here, but like not a huge deal?
Yeah, I don't think there was any snaps, but like it was fun to kind of like pick them out in the crowd.
Hmm.
So some of the cameos that I have are, we saw the scrolls,
Hmm.
the Grandmaster who was in Thor Ragnarok, if nobody remembers, he's the one that sets up all the big fight pit and everything like that. We get Howard the Duck again in this series.
Hmm.
They brought him back one more time. We see Nebula,
Hmm.
we see Korg, Drax, Valkyrie, Rocket, Aisha, who was like the leader of the Sovereign, those golden people, if nobody remembers.
Hmm.
Um, we get that fire demon dude, Sator.
So
I don't know
sure,
how you say
yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Sator. We see Yondu and Mantis. Those were the ones that I caught.
I got
Did I miss any?
everyone. No, I caught everyone. I missed Valkyrie, I think, but I caught the executioner from Ragnarok.
Ah,
Hela's
yes.
Hela's right hand man. Yeah, yeah, I caught him.
I
And
feel like it was like
yeah. Hmm.
I was gonna say I feel like it's like a comic book like reader's dream because I'm very sure that like there were a lot more like prominent, characters in there that people saw, but like as just pretty much an MCU watcher and not
Hmm.
really like a comic book fan or reader, those were the only ones that really like stood out to me majorly.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the one that was just like, what's he doing here? To me was Surtur, the like
Yeah,
fire demon dude who destroys Asgard and presumably Hela at the end of Thor Ragnarok. I was just like, I
right.
thought they were enemies. Like, what is it like? Isn't his like main purpose to destroy Asgard? Like, what is he doing partying with Thor? So I felt like I needed a
Right.
little bit of explanation for that to be true, but who
It was
knows?
like
Maybe,
weird.
yeah, maybe when Odin decided to like give Loki back to Laufey, like something like maybe Odin's diplomatic relations are just different in this universe in general, and that affected Surtur,
Maybe.
whatever his name is, from
Yeah.
interacting in that way. I thought that was like weird.
Yeah, I thought it was an odd choice, but I think they were just trying to create a fun episode. So they're just
Hmm.
like, who can we put in here?
Right,
Everybody.
right, right.
Right?
Anyone who's like not from Earth can go in this episode.
Right. But I do have to say, man, the star of the episode for me was Darcy. I freaking love Darcy. I wish they would give her her own damn show or something. Like it and it irks me every time because I mean, I like the Thor movies, but when I watch them, I'm just like, man, Darcy outshines Jane and Natalie Portman every time in every scene. And like that's why it makes it hard for me to be like rooting for Jane to be like the next to take up the mantle for Thor or whatever. Because
That's
it's
not
just
her
like
fault though.
she, she's not interesting to me. I don't want to
Yeah.
watch her continue her story. I really don't. I don't care for her. Now, Darcy, I want to get brunch with Darcy. I want to go shopping with Darcy. I want to go on vacation with Darcy. I want Darcy to be my friend. Like,
I want Darcy to be my wingman at a bar to like get me a drink.
ooh,
Like that's I feel like Darcy would be like "Yeah, excuse me, you too. Like just come over here, come talk to my friend. Like that's how she feels. I agree with you. I think Darcy you know what this just occurred to me as we were talking. I think Darcy is a really good avatar for the people at home. Like
hmm,
of the just like why are these characters acting the way like why are you doing the things that you're doing? She's so realistic and so kind of like just calling BS. So like that's her
yeah,
vibe. Where I think she's a really good avatar for the us viewers, and I think that's why
definitely.
she works so well. I don't know that there's another avatar in the MCU, what I'm calling an avatar, that works as well
For the
um,
audience.
for the audience. Yeah, I think Ned is probably a good one too, like to a certain extent, and some of the scenes that he's in. But I'd have to think about it a little bit more, like who's a really good like avatar for the audience. But I think Darcy, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think I love Loki, obviously, because I put him in that in my
You do.
zombie apocalypse. I love Loki. Like he's
You got a
emerged
thing
as
for Loki.
this like multifaceted character that I love an anti-hero. Um
Hmm.
so I really enjoyed having him here, but I think I would agree that Darcy like did a lot of emotional work in this episode. That makes
Yes,
sense.
I love her. She is the voice of the people for sure.
Definitely the voice of the people.
Did you have any like favorite shenanigans or anything that like happened throughout the episode? Because they get into some trouble.
They get into a lot of things. I thought the bigger ones were really well thought out, like Sator like hitting on the Statue of Liberty. I thought that was cute. I thought the Frost Giants using the arch at St. Louis as a slingshot was super cute. Them putting horns on like um the president's faces at South Dakota, Sioux Hills. What is that?
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Yes, thank you. I knew the place and like where it was, didn't know the name. Um, I thought that was really, really fun. Like, yeah, like using landmarks and things like that for their shenanigans, I thought was the most fun. Thor was about to like slide down the Australian, I think it's the Australian Opera House or whatever in Sydney.
Yeah.
So all of that
Which
was
is
super,
fun
super
because
fun.
he's Australian, right?
Yeah, because Chris Hemsworth is Australian.
He's
Yeah, so that
Australian.
was super fun. Yeah, I thought all of that was great. I would have loved to seen Selvig. Like because there was definitely some callbacks, right? Like
Where
to
was Selvig?
yeah, I don't know where he was. I mean, she called him, but like,
She
why wasn't he
did.
on the ground with them? I don't know. I
I feel
don't
like he
know.
should have been there. So it was odd to me that Selvig wasn't there. I can't think of at that time where else he would have been at. I mean, he's a scientist, so I'm sure, he's got shit to do. But I'm just saying, like, if we're kind of thinking back to the original Thor movie, we see them all together. So I would have thought that maybe he would have been on the team already, but I guess not.
I don't know. I
I
mean, he could be on the team. It's just not there.
maybe. I mean, I enjoyed definitely all those shenanigans. I did chuckle when Jane and Thor got the matching tattoos.
That was funny.
There was like
That was a
science and
nice. That
magic.
was a nice callback.
That was a callback to, yeah, because what does he say? Science and magic are all the same thing where he's
Hmm.
from,
Hmm.
basically. So that was cute. Darcy marrying Howard the Duck was hilarious to me because I was just like, how, when, where? But it was great. And then at the end, he was like, well, isn't it Mrs. the Duck?
Yeah, yeah. That was
That
fun.
was great.
Um,
Um,
Other callbacks I liked. I liked that they went to Stonehenge in outside of London and like almost
mhm,
knocked stuff over because Selvig was running around butt naked in the
that was
second
great.
Thor movie. I think that was like one of the only callbacks that I caught besides the science and magic thing. I don't know that I
Yeah.
caught very many other ones.
The other ones that I caught was when Thor refers to Rocket as the rabbit because he does
Oh, he
that.
was in the sink. He
Yeah,
was sleeping in the
that
sink. I
was
did not put that
he's like, there's
together.
a rabbit in
In
here.
the sink. I was like, what is he talking about? But you're right. Right before that, they show Rocket sleeping in the sink.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
Uh,
totally didn't catch that. That's so funny now.
uh, Thor leaving Jane because in was it Dark World? She was just like, yeah, he left and like never came back or whatever. But he was like fighting in New York and stuff. So
Yeah,
when she was like, "Oh, he left. Did he leave a note?
yeah.
Did he talk about me?" Like, but honestly, that whole relationship irks my soul because even when she approaches him the first time at the party and is like, "Hey, I heard you destroyed this planet. Let's talk about it." And then all of a sudden, he's like talking about her eyes, and now she's just like forgets the whole mission. And
She
I was
does
just
that
like,
in the movies too.
but I was just like, we really gonna like dumb it down like that after you sat here and was like, I have several PhDs. And then my boy is like, he just dropped some game and is like, your eyes is pretty. What up though? And
And
she's just
also, he's
like,
don't forget he said he brings the thunder. He's been known to bring the thunder with a wink. I was like, you better go ahead with this sexual innuendo on Disney Plus.
I was like, we really doing this though? Come on. So I just thought that part was funny. And then yeah, the Stonehenge thing was a good one. Those are the callbacks I was into.
Hmm.
How did you feel about Captain Marvel versus Thor? I guess
Captain,
more specifically, I want to ask you is, do you think that's how the fight should have really went?
we're dealing with two different Thors, right? Like
Hmm.
the Thor we know and the Thor in this episode. The Thor in this episode, the way they fought, how it went down, fine. I'm willing to accept it. Fine. Now, the Thor we know fighting the Captain Marvel. I feel like the Captain Marvel in this episode is probably very similar to the Captain Marvel we know in live action
Yeah.
MCU. I wouldn't say see any differences, although I hate to say this, I kind of enjoyed her in this episode more than I enjoy her. There
Action,
was just
live action.
yeah, like there's just something about her animated or like her lines or maybe how the lines were delivered. And I'm not sure if it was the same like the same actress that did her voice in this. Could be, but there was just something about the way it was done here that I just like a little bit better. Um, Quite honestly, I think I do think Captain Marvel would give Thor a run for his money. I don't think Thor would beat her.
That's how I felt too. When I felt like, and she gives the explanation that, oh, I didn't use my full powers because it would have put like a crater in the earth or something like that or whatever. But seeing the Captain Marvel that we saw taking on Thanos
Right.
and watching this one, I was just like, the fight felt too close for me. And I get it, like they're trying to move the story forward and whatever
Hmm.
and make it that kind of thing. But I've definitely felt like they depowered her, even her basic powers. Like
Hmm.
forget her going full force. Like I just feel like they depowered her a lot. It was cool to watch her like absorb all that thunder and stuff. And I thought when she did, I thought she was gonna pop, fire it back and take him down. And when she didn't, I was just like, okay. And then my man just sat there and put her in timeout. I was with with a hammer on her chest. I was like, nah, I don't like this at all.
So, right. So we've seen the reason why you expected Captain Marvel to shoot or return the lightning back to Thor is because we've seen that happen before in the first Avengers
Right.
when Thor and Iron Man meet for the first time. Like he shoots him, and Tony's like, power levels at 400%. He's like, how about that? And he shoots it back at Thor,
Mm-hmm.
who obviously is not hurt by it because it's lightning and that's his is. So like when you think about it that way, whether or not she shot it back at him or not, probably wouldn't have made that much of a difference. But like we know that, well, technically Loki is a frost giant and not like an actual Asgardian by blood, I guess. But Thanos killed Loki by just choking him. I'm just gonna put that out there, right? Like Loki. Okay, fine. Odin disintegrated. He kind of like whatever before the snap he disintegrated.
He's gone
But
with the wind.
Frigga, who I think is an Asgardian, she just like learned witch magic, right? She was
Yeah.
stabbed. You can stab a motherfucker like Thor,
Yeah,
theoretically,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
there is a way to kill Thor, whereas I don't think those same ways, and I don't even know if we have the time to even. I don't think we should do this right now, but it's an interesting thought experiment. How would you even kill Captain Marvel? How do you kill someone that's pure energy?
I think it would have to be the same thing of like stabbing or something like that. Or like snapping her neck or something.
Potentially something more physical. Fine.
Yeah, it would have to be
Um,
something more physical. But yeah, like shooting at her or trying to blast her away, yeah, that shouldn't work.
But even the
Oh,
physical thing with her, like she got knocked upside the head with Thor's hammer more than once in this episode. You would think that would have snapped somebody's neck, snapped her neck, and it did not.
yeah. I mean, also her powers are very ambiguous, right? It's
That's
just
true.
like they're able to kind of mold her powers to whatever is happening in that moment.
Hmm.
So it's even hard, but I definitely thought that the fight was bad. The fight was, they put it kind of on even, like put them on even footing.
Hmm.
And I definitely felt like she should have had the edge.
Yeah.
Um, but I also feel like this was another episode where the fight scene was the least interesting for me. Like
Mm.
it didn't really do much for me. Like I didn't really care for it that much. It was like, all right, cool, they're fighting, but there was no moments where I was just, except for when she absorbed the thunder, but there was no, or lightning. There were no moments where I was just like, oh shit, okay. Like it wasn't that interesting for me. But I did see that they tried to kind of play back to the Captain Marvel movie where it was just like men kept putting her down or whatever. So it was like, you're the party pooper. And everybody's laughing at her.
Well, I didn't even pick that up, and I'm glad I didn't because it would have ruined the episode for me because I hate that trope from the first. Like that's the entire theme of Captain Marvel, and I hate it. I hate that that's
Yes.
the theme.
Hate
It was
it.
just I don't like the way it was done. Like it's a relevant and totally like believable theme. I just don't like the way they did it in the movie. But the part where Thor is like, "There's a word for women like you on Midgard," I was like, "Is he about to call her the C word?"
Nah,
Because that's the I mean, they set it up for that.
Disney Plus would never. You gotta.
I know, but I was like, I was waiting for it. Obviously, it didn't happen. So
I
yeah,
was low-key
that's a good
expecting
point.
bitch.
Or that, either one of those, or
That was
that.
the first word that came to my mind, but I was like, I know they're not gonna do it. So I was just
No,
like, what
yeah,
is he gonna say?
yeah.
But
I'm so tired
that
of
was great. That was
poopster
funny.
parties. So yeah, that's an interesting point. So the whole like getting knocked down and like, you know, sure, fine. Like if she didn't already have that backstory from her movie, I would not have put that theme in this episode.
Yeah.
I would have
What I
just been
will
like, she's being like hall monitor, and because she's hall monitor, she's a party pooper, and we all need to hate her or like ridicule her, but not because she's a girl. I didn't pick that up from the episode.
Yeah. Which is interesting that you bring up the whole hall monitor thing, because I think we've discussed this before, where it was like the original events of the first Avengers movie, when you have the whole T'Chari army and Loki and everybody coming down to Earth. A big question was kind of like, why not call Captain Marvel then? Like, this is a serious, like, intergalactic threat. And they did that in this episode. It was just like, oh, and Thor was literally just there to like party, right? I guess they were worried about him blowing up the planet,
Hmm.
but he beams down, and then everybody's like, oh snap, yo, we gotta call backup. Somebody get Captain Marvel up on here. And I don't know if it's maybe because it was Hill who was in charge versus Fury making the call, but I
Yeah,
was just like, duh, call Captain Marvel, like.
yeah, absolutely. And that's absolutely the reason. Like, and that's a great point. That thank you for bringing that up because I didn't think about that either. That yeah, like so what I think it is that in Avengers, like Shield, Fury is like so he believes in his team of extraordinary individuals so much that he wanted to give them a chance to prove that
Mm,
his theory or that his plan would work. And it just so
mm,
happens that, he was right. Like he could get them together. But to be fair, like before things really, really pop off, they asked Thor, they're just like, so Thor, what's Loki's play? He's like, he has an army called the Chitauri. He's coming to get the Tesseract, and what I expect in exchange for the army, like whatever, like he's gonna bring an army. And they're like, all right, alien army, cool. And nobody did anything. Like, why didn't they page? They had a whole day at this point, at least 12 hours, to
yeah.
page Captain Marvel to come. And she didn't have to swing by Earth. All she had to do was fly through the freaking mothership and she would have been done. Would have been done. So I
But
don't know.
then we would have the Avengers movie. But it's just a thought, right?
Right. Coulson would have still been alive, all that other stuff. But yes, you're absolutely right. Like Agent Hill, leave it to a woman to be like, call what's her face? Don't we got her on the line? Just get her over here. It's fine. She'll
Right?
handle this. It's totally fine.
And then here come Darcy. You need an intern, a cat watcher,
Cat Wrangler.
a cat wrangler.
You're messing on my internship with the Galactic Queen Bee. I was like,
Yes, like that. Man, Darcy just every time hits him every time.
I also really enjoy because I feel this way about Darcy too. How Captain Marvel is
Mhm.
like, Darcy, you're at an 8. I need you at like a 4. I absolutely feel that way about Darcy. There are sometimes in certain like wherever she is, I'm like, can you just stop for 10 seconds? Slow down,
Yeah,
please. Stop talking. So I
but
love that.
it's the energy I love, man. It's the energy I
So it's
love.
cool.
So we also were wondering, where are the Avengers?
I
Where
mean,
are they in this universe? You have this intergalactic threat that lands on Earth and is like out here tearing shit up, and like the Avengers are nowhere to be seen.
but how often does it happen in the MCU?
True. That's fair.
Like, especially when it comes to Thor. Um, right? Like,
That's fair.
especially when it comes to Thor. Where was Iron Man and all the Avengers in Thor 2? Where were the rest of the Avengers? I guess all the Avengers were in Ultron, but you get what I'm saying. Like they got to make
No,
movies,
you're right.
you know.
Yeah, because the Dark Elves come down to Earth. I mean, granted, it's maybe for like an hour, but still, it's like, did anybody alert anybody else? Like,
No,
Iron Man's never like, hey, good job on Earth that time. Like,
yeah, like no one
you
ever
know,
mentions it later neither, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, no one talks. So that is fair, but it definitely was a thought in my mind because when we're seeing like all the cameos, I'm like looking through everyone, and I'm just like, I don't see like you see the Guardians, you see some of the other people from space and everything, but I really was wondering like why didn't we get some of the Avengers and stuff in there? But
What I thought was, one other, I don't know, did you say Yondu as one of the cameos?
yeah, Yondu was
Okay,
in
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but like if Star Lord is part of the Ravagers, why wasn't Star Lord there? He was notably missing, in my opinion. I'm sorry to like bring it back to something we've already talked about, but that technically at the end of Endgame, all of these people are Avengers, right? So that's what made me think about that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Oh,
I don't know where the Avengers are in this. At this, I honestly am not entirely sure. I buy at what point in time in like our sacred timeline this actually takes place. I'm like,
yeah.
I 90% agree with you that it probably takes place around the same time as the events of the original Thor 1 takes place, but I'm not sure that's entirely true, and it's because no other Avengers show up.
Right. So they haven't
So,
actually formed the team yet for them
right,
to
to even show
even
up.
like know about each other or maybe even be powered up or whatever. It's hard to tell, but just for the sake of keeping my sanity, I think I'm gonna roll with
With
roll
that,
with that
that's
it's
fair.
happening during the
That's fair.
original during the timeline of the original Thor. Um, but I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get an answer to that per se, but
No.
it is definitely interesting to think about of like where in time this is happening in terms of that. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I don't know. But and then we get to the end of the episode.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, let me say this. I thought it was hilarious that everybody was scared of Frigga. Mama
Oh
Frigga
yeah.
was coming and everybody got all their stuff together. They said, hold up. She's coming down. Oh, no, 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 no.
Mhm.
She's like that mama on the block that everybody is scared of.
Because she will whoop everybody. She don't care if you're her kid or not. The belt is swinging. Point blank. Period.
Everybody can catch it.
Everybody can
Everybody
catch it.
can catch it, and she don't give a damn. So that to me was actually really, really funny. That's the thing that got everybody together and got everybody on board. How did you feel about the fact that Shield was gonna get ready to drop the nuke, even though they gave Captain Marvel this mission?
So it felt very similar to like, let's just freaking blow up Sokovia. Like it felt very like
Uh
it's
huh.
the
Yeah.
similar part of the world, which I'm not saying Shield is like biased against a certain part of the world, but you know, Shield is I think in general, I don't know if it's Shield per se or if it's just Agent Hill who's just like, why are we talking? We can take care of this and be
Right.
done, right? Um so I mean, Siberia, everyone always just wants to do everything in Siberia, right? I feel like there are actually people out there somewhere. I don't know that to be true.
Probably.
And I'm just like, okay, so we're just gonna blow up a bunch of polar bears. Like, I guess that's not the end of the world, but like, can we do a heat scan for like people? I don't know. Like, how wide of a radius is a nuclear is 10 nuclear bombs going to affect? Like, look what happened to Chernobyl.
Right.
Like, come on. So, anyways, I thought that was a little insensitive for them to do that, considering Chernobyl and just the fact that Sokovia is probably in a very similar area of the world. But it's Shield. They're gonna do whatever the hell they want, right?
Not for
It's
nothing. If
Shield and Hydra, so they're gonna do whatever the hell they want.
that too. Not for
Mhm.
nothing. If Agent Hill was running Shield though, I think the world would have been a safer place.
No
She looks
safer
like she
place.
ready to get. She no safer. She looks like she would have been ready to get shit done.
Like, why are we talking
Like,
about this?
yeah, let's blow it up. I don't know.
Yeah, like I firmly believe that, like, for example, taking a scene from Ultron, which we'll get to in a second, the movie Ultron, when they're trying to figure out what Ultron's next play is, and Samuel L. Jackson Fury is there at the dinner table, and they're just like, "So Fury, like, what you got for us?" And he's like, "I got y'all. Like, you guys are the smartest people I know. Like, figure out what's his next play. Out with the Platinum Bastard," is what he says, right? I feel like Agent Hill would have been like, I'm gonna drop a nuke and just throw off this whole shit. I'll see y'all later. Like, done. Like, I'm not talk. What is there to talk about? Like, we
She's not
have
playing.
nuclear codes. We can just do this. Like, get
Call
out of here.
Captain Marvel. I
Right.
don't know. Let's get it going.
Right. Let's figure this out. So I totally agree with you that Asia Hill would have been like, I don't understand what we're deliberating here.
Right,
Let's
right.
just do this.
Let's get it
Anyways.
done.
Yeah. So I
But
mean,
I love Deja Hill for this, though. I
yeah.
did.
The one other thing I wanted to mention real quick is
Hmm.
really, really quick, and then we'll wrap up with the last point of the episode, which is the last 6 seconds of the episode. Frigga was just like, I'm going to see my sister. The last chick that she hugged was a black chick, and I just want to throw that out there that I enjoyed seeing that. I enjoyed seeing
She said,
that.
I had fun.
Enjoy
Thanks,
yourself here.
sis.
I'll see you later. I'll see you next time. And that was a fully beautifully melanated character. And I was just like, I want to know a little bit more about Frigga's background. Like it could just be like they're like sisters as in like a witchly way or something like that. I don't know. But in any event, I like seeing the representation. I thought it was really important. I would also like to point out, and I've pointed it out in these episodes before when we were talking about Shang-Chi, I believe, that the characters of color always are just like, the math ain't mathin'. So in this particular episode, Thor's friend, forgot his name, but the Asian character was just like, Heimdall and your mom, we should not be doing this. What are you doing?
Right.
Right? Like the same kind of like,
Like, you
this
need to
is,
chill. Let's
you
not.
need to chill. Let's not do that. So anyways, I digress. Back to
But
the
no, that was
schedule.
great, because the other question I did have about that too is, so Frigga definitely uses the Bifrost to go see her sisters, right?
Yeah.
Which led me to feel like, where are her sisters?
I thought about that too.
Or her sister, or whatever.
They're not in Asgard.
They're not in Asgard. So
No.
I was curious to be like, where are they from? And like you said, it made me want to know more about Frigga, right? And like what she's got going on. Notice we care more about Frigga than Jane. Nobody cares where Jane got her PhDs from.
But also, excuse me, we're not going to shit on people with PhDs. Like that's not the
We're
kind of
not us, absolutely not. You're way more interesting than she could ever be.
I appreciate that. But here's the other thing too. Jane wouldn't have even had to go get her if why? If freaking Heimdall would do his fucking job. Okay.
Heimdall is supposed to be the eyes of the universe. And this man misses every pivotal moment that happens throughout the MCU. And I will never understand it. And I'm just like, come on, bro. You're a black man. You're supposed to be out here representing for us. And you're letting Thor
you know
and
what
his
it
whole
is?
posse sneak through.
You know what it is? Heimdall ain't no snitch. Because even when he found out, right? Even when Jane figured out how to call Heimdall, he was like, Heimdall. Heimdall was like, what? She was like, Thor. He was like, all right, you can go tell Frigga, but I ain't no snitch.
Good point. Good point. He said, I'm going to send you there.
You
do what you got to do.
You can go. I ain't no snitch. No
he
snitch.
also not going to jeopardize his job. He was like,
you know how long it took me to get this job? For Thor? No.
How long you been waiting for this promotion?
Nah. No way.
Man, I was like,
but I am a little just like, come on, Heimdall. Like you literally have one job.
One.
But he ain't gonna let nobody fuck up his job. That's
you damn right. That boy job security is serious, because the amount of times that he done missed everything in the universe, and they still let him keep his job. I don't know what he got on them, but
you know what he's great at? Moving people between galaxies or realms or whatever it is. He is a great people pusher. He is not great at like actually viewing what people are doing. So
basically, but you gotta love Heimdall at the end of the day, and I mean, in live action, who doesn't want to see Idris on screen? So it's all good.
I was so sad that Heimdall had no lines. I was just like, that's whack.
I feel like it's probably because they couldn't get Idris, and they're just like,
why? You don't need it.
Yeah, if we're not gonna get Idris at this point, the role that Heimdall even plays in the episode, it didn't really need any lines. So if you're not gonna get Idris to do it, then what's the point of hiring somebody else to just do it?
Yeah, definitely. Heimdall's claim to fame in the MCU is using his last bit of magic or energy to send the Hulk to Earth before Thanos gets there to warn everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it gave them what, an extra 20 minutes? No, that's not true. It gave them an extra 20 minutes, but it also let them know what the plan was, right? He was able to tell them like why he was coming to Earth and like the plans
Right.
for everything. So okay, fine. So I'll give Heimdall credit for that, but like nothing else.
I mean, he also did like collect the refugees when like Hela was taking over Asgard and stuff. He was hiding them like in the mountains or something like that. And then he was the only one that could actually communicate with Thor to be like, shit's getting crazy over here. You might want to come back. So we
Did he
can
do
give him
that?
that. Yeah.
He communicated with Thor when Thor was on that wacky like planet.
Yeah. Because he brought Thor into like almost like a vision kind of thing to show him like what was
What's happening?
happening
Yeah.
and stuff and like where they were hiding.
Right.
So
Mhm.
he's done some good things. I'm not saying,
He's done
you know what I
everything
mean?
but his job.
You know what? Heimdall's that guy at work that will bullshit. And y'all know this guy. I know y'all know, or this woman, whoever, right? Y'all know this person. Heimdall is that person that will bullshit 90% of the time at work. But when they do shit 10% of the time, they excel. And then the boss is like, I can't let you go. Like, you're amazing. And it's just like, and you're sitting in the background like, I've been cleaning up after this Negro shit all the time. What
I've
you
been
mean?
covering. Yep. That
I've been
is
covering
so
all his
true.
shifts.
That is so true. It's like Heimdall is the epitome of do the bare minimum until you actually have to work, and then you work, but then you go back to
Yeah,
doing the bare
you
minimum.
do it. Yeah. Now that
That's
we've
so
gone on a
funny.
Heimdall rant,
It
I
was
think we've been holding
necessary.
that in for a while.
Oh my goodness, it
And now
was
we have
so
an outlet
necessary.
for it.
So
But
necessary.
yeah, so we get to the episode. So Thor's made out by Frigga, right? By the end of the episode, because of course like a man, he forgets the smallest detail, which was to clean off his hammer, right?
So
So he gets caught.
wait. Throughout the entire episode, his hammer was clean. I'm thinking somebody set him up on purpose. Like I think Captain Marvel set him up, or somebody set him up. I think
That,
probably Captain Marvel set him up.
yeah, that's definitely
I'm
a
just putting it
conspiracy
out
theory
there.
for sure.
It's fine, but that's what I believe. But go ahead.
So to save face, she was like, "Here's your NPR podcast, and here you can learn about Earth. But I'm gonna fuck you up on the back end, like you don't even know it, and you're
Mm-hmm.
never gonna come back here again." Well, okay, go along with the plot, but then set them up, and then it's like, well, you're not coming back, so you're never gonna bother our airspace. All right, it's possible. You know what? I'm with you. I'm with you. The gears are turning, and I'm with you. I
Converted,
fucks
yeah.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's made out by Frigga and then gets his little courage to go ask Jane on a date in the middle of nowhere, right? And then
Can we?
all is, yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to go on another tangent because we're running long, but can we talk about how Jane had to teach him how to ask her out on a date?
Are you surprised though? I mean, he's
That's
a
true.
pretty he's a pretty white boy prince. Like, is he really out here asking that many women on dates? Or you think
That's a great point.
they show
Okay.
up ready?
I mean, she was ready. I knew that they had messed around the night before, but apparently they didn't. So it's fine. Go ahead.
Disney Plus. Come
I was like,
on.
how's everybody
When
back
they
in
had
the hotel room?
when they had that bedroom scene,
I was
I was
like,
like, is he gonna be in the bed with her?
so he
Or nah,
wasn't. He
he
wasn't. When I
wasn't.
watched it the second time, he wasn't. But
He
her whole
wasn't.
like, did he leave a note? Like that was just like that. Why for after crashing in your bedroom? No.
That's definitely We Smashed vibe.
I love you by accident. No. All right. Anyways, sorry, I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, because honestly, those things they irked my nerves too. But I'm not gonna go too much into it. But I hate the Jane and Thor love,
Mm-hmm.
even in the live action movies. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, so he's walking away. My man is feeling good about himself. Aura is glowing. And then all of a sudden, a portal opens up, and the Watcher's like, wait, hold up. Let record scratch. And we get Ultron with all the Infinity Stones. I want to call him Infinite Ultron. I don't know if that's a thing, but I've heard it in other places. So I'm going to call him Infinite Ultron. Comes walking through the portal with his army of bots, takes Thor by surprise and takes the Watcher, more importantly, takes the Watcher by surprise, who, like Heimdall, sees all, right? So to catch the Watcher by surprise means that something nefarious and something really weird is going on, right? Where are you coming from that the Watcher didn't see you coming, literally, you know?
Mm.
So that to me was definitely obviously like the highlight of the episode for me because it was just like, oh, what does this mean? Like, how did you feel in that moment when you saw him walking through the portal?
So I didn't realize that's who it was. Like I saw vision on the inside. So what I thought was like the sentinel vision that we saw, albino vision from WandaVision. I
Hmm.
thought it was like some play on that character. Like the
Oh, okay.
sentinel that they like recreated, like, you know, I thought it was
Like
some
some sort
play on.
of evolved kind of vision?
Yeah, some maybe evolved is not the right word, but like a vision that is not the vision we know,
Right.
right? So, but also a vision that is aware of all the Infinity Stones, clearly, which
Hmm.
the Sentinel slash albino vision, who I'm calling albino vision, not Vision, but like Vision, um, who like because he has Vision's memories now knows about all the Infinity Stones. He knows about all the history, but he has none of the emotional attachments to anyone, right?
Hmm.
So when I saw this vision pop up, I was like, okay, this is the vision with like all of the information from the past, present, or whatever experiences regular vision has, but without any of the emotional attachment. And so it would make sense to me that a sentinel could come to this a similar conclusion as like same conclusion as Ultron, basically that like people suck, right? And sentinels
Right.
be the big. But Ultron never popped into my head. I just thought it was Vision doing what Ultron
Interesting.
was doing.
Fair, fair. Um, I also want to, for all our casual fans out there, because we understand it may have been a while since you've seen some of these movies and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So we definitely did want to kind of run down a little background on Ultron once again. So in the MCU, where we meet Ultron, Ultron was created by Stark and Banner working together because Stark wanted to protect the Earth and basically wanted to build this armor around the Earth, right? So he creates Ultron, which is basically an AI program to protect humans and life on Earth.
Of
Of
course,
course,
this
this
goes
was
wrong when Ultron decides that humankind needs to be eliminated.
and plan to create more robotic life forms, such as himself, to take over Earth. He placed a vibranium device under Sokovia, which would raise it up and slam it down like a meteor to destroy all of Earth's inhabitants. But the Avengers stop him and destroy all the robots. But as an AI, is it possible for him to come back? I mean, just because they destroyed all the robots, does that mean that he can't return? Um, we also do see one of Ultron's like robot heads in Spider-Man Homecoming. Because as we know, Vulture was out there collecting all types of alien technology and gear. So there is like a little Easter egg of like a Ultron head rolling out of a bag. So, and if that happens, is there still code in there? Could he come back? So that was the thing. Um, Now, I don't read the comics and I didn't really do a deep dive, but from what I gathered is that in the comics, there is a storyline where Ultron seeks out the Infinity Stones and manages to get the Space and the Soul Stone, but he's destroyed by Adam Warlock and the Silver Surfer. So, and then now we get in this episode where he arrives with his army of robots and a body or suit or whatever that contains Vision, right? Who's still got the Mind Stone in there. So I think all of these things are connecting and coming forth in this what if story. My thought was in some timeline, somewhere in this multiverse that has been created, basically the Avengers failed. And when they were starting to upload Ultron into Vision, either something went wrong there or somehow Ultron invades Vision's programming or whatever and kind of takes him over. So at some point, someone somewhere failed, and Vision is taken over by Ultron and is now collected the Infinity Stones. I'm sure we're gonna find out how, somehow, some way, and is now hopping timelines or dimensions or universes, whatever we're calling this. And that's why the Watcher did not see this coming.
I would agree that, first of all, thank you for that background on Ultron and all that. Really appreciate it.
I hope that
Um,
helps the casual viewers.
I I would agree that this character, whoever it is, Infinite Ultron, Vision, like whoever it is, I would agree that that this character is hopping universes at the minimum, right?
Yeah.
Which is why the Watcher was caught off guard, right?
Mhm.
I think it would be really interesting. I like some of your speculation about like, did the Avengers fail in getting to Vision before Ultron was able to upload himself? But I will throw an extra layer on top of that and
Mhm.
just do a quick callback to like what happened at the end of Ultron. So after Ultron is destroyed, they do the end credit scene, which I love. It's like one of my favorite end credit scenes. But after that, you see Thanos get his gauntlet glove and he says, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Which
Mhm.
means that he was trying to use, in my opinion, he was trying to use the Mind Stone as a way to get other people to do his bidding.
Yeah,
That's how I
because
feel.
Loki was under the spell of the Mind Stone when he
To get the
comes with the
Tesseract,
Chitauri. Yeah.
right? And then when Ultron, I think Ultron understood what it was. Um,
Mhm.
and in my opinion, like it doesn't make like why would Thanos at that point in time say, "Fine, I'll do it myself," if he wasn't had something planned for Ultron. So I say all that to say that everything you said could also be true. I agree with it, but it could still be Thanos that's like behind the scenes, um, influencing what's happening, because like Ultron is universe hopping for what reason? Right? Like, what would be his motivation to do something like that? In my opinion, Thanos would like to know that his mission is being fulfilled throughout all the universes. He's cutting out half of life in all of the universes.
That's an interesting thought. So at the end of the day, it's Thanos really kind of controlling Ultron
Or
to,
someone
or
controlling
influencing, because Ultron's goal, right, is to eliminate life,
humans.
humans, and Thanos just wants to eliminate half the populations,
Right.
right? A team up, maybe.
I don't even know if it's a real team up per se. Ultron feels like another pawn, like Loki was, like Ronan was.
Yeah,
Like that's how I'm viewing the potential relationship. Is that Thanos is
yeah,
at the helm. Now, the other thing is that we've been introduced to another big bad in the MCU recently. It
yes.
could be Kang.
Kang,
Kang, Kang, Kang is
Mhm.
how I'm saying his name, Kang.
Kang, yeah.
Who is behind sending Ultron, Infinite Ultron, or Vision, whoever it is, to all these different universes to fuck shit up? It could be.
Interesting. I think even I like those, but I think for me, I would enjoy the story more if it really just was Ultron like
Of his own
succeeded.
card. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Ultron just succeeded on his own and is like, yes, and I've got the stones, it's about to go down.
But it's like,
I think
what
to
would he
me, that's
use
a
the
more
stones
interesting story
for?
choice.
No, I
Hmm?
agree with you. I think it would be more interesting story choice. I just don't know what Ultron would use the stones for. He doesn't need the stones to kill off humans.
He doesn't, but I think it would be a more efficient way to do it. And then he can use all the stones to hop from timeline to timeline a little bit more easy and like get all the
Oh,
populations of all the timelines. You know what I mean?
yes, I do.
Because he would need the stones to get from timeline to timeline. So if he's somehow, some way discovered, like, wait, there's multiple universes and multiple timelines, and
Mm.
I can use the stones to, I don't know how,
Well, I was about to say, we're making a gross assumption that all the stones together can like allow you to hop timelines. Like, we don't know that that's true, but because they're not hopping between space, like different planets, which is we know this tesseract, the space stone can do. They're hopping between parallel universes,
Right.
which I don't know that the time stones that the infinity stones can do. I'm just putting it out there. Like, I'm not saying they
Yeah.
can't, but I don't know that we know for sure that they can.
I think they can. I think we're gonna find out.
I don't know, because with the last time that all right, and then we'll wrap this up. And this is like my last thing, right? So if we think about having multiple like timeline, like two timelines, right? It's two phones, like two universes, right? All the planets, all the realms are in one universe. It's also in another universe here. The only time we've ever had a bird's eye view and been able to look at multiple universes at the same time is during the Loki series, where the TVA basically was outside of universes, right? And we know that outside of being inside an individual universe, the Infinity Stones are paperweights. They don't work.
Right.
So I say all that to say that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Infinity Stones actually doesn't allow you to hop between universes, because they're only functioning within the universe that they're in. That doesn't really play into like what we also think, which is that like this character with all the Infinity Stones are hopping universes. I do also believe that. I just don't know how the magic of it all works, you know?
That's a really good point. You're definitely right. In the MCU, they've established that if you take an Infinity Stone from one universe to another, it doesn't work. I will say, so thing one is we do see though that with Doctor Strange that you're able, not necessarily just using the time stone or just using stones or whatever, but you can go into different dimensions, right?
Yes.
So you can travel through different dimensions. So I wouldn't put it off the table that you can potentially use the stones to hop universes.
Is a universe a dimension? Like, did we ever get clarity
I don't know if it
on
works
that?
the same way. I don't know if it works the same way. But I'm kind of using that as like my little stepping stone.
Sure.
Of like, if we can go into different dimensions, why not being able? Because Kang figures out how to go into different universes or whatever, right? But he didn't even do that with the stones. He did that without the stones.
Absolutely.
So imagine having the stones and being able to do that. Now, to be able, my thought would be, if this is Ultron and it is like his goal to like eliminate all the people from all the timelines and all the universes, he would have to probably stay in his universe and timeline. But I'm guessing maybe he can open the portal and just send his bots out to do the work for him. And then maybe like check through the peephole and see what's going on. Like, did they succeed? All right, cool. But yeah, I guess that would be the thing to work out is how is he going from universe to universe? And if he is, how is that working if the Infinity Stones technically aren't supposed to work in other universes?
Or outside of the universes is more so what I was saying. It would be like
but no, they did say if you took like a stone from one universe and dropped it in another, it wouldn't work.
Oh, really?
They said that in Loki, in the show.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's that.
In the show.
I don't remember that, but yeah, there's that. But I was thinking of it more so just like being in my apartment and your phone being hooked up to Wi-Fi, and then you step into the hallway and the Wi-Fi disappears because there's no service, and then you go into the next apartment and there's Wi-Fi. Like that in between, like
I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying? Like outside of the two different universes or entities, the Infinity Stones wouldn't work, but you would need it to work in order to get to the next universe. So anyways, that's splitting hairs. That's deeper than casual, right?
Any of our casual viewers who are actually more than casual, if you guys know how this whole Infinity Stones, time jump, universe hopping stuff works, please, we are more than willing to accept any type of explanations or theories that you guys have. That would be great. But in kind of conclusion, I feel like, and we kind of mentioned this before and touched on it before, where I was like, I definitely feel like at some point the Watcher is going to get involved. I think this is it. If you got potentially Ultron, Vision, whatever this is happening, hopping from timelines and stuff and catching him off guard, this has to be the thing that makes him go, wait, it's time for me to intervene, right? So then now that's like, well, what does that mean? Do we have to get another team together? Like, is this going to be like Avengers 2.0, where it's like we got to pull people from different timelines or something and get them together and like,
Ooh.
to take down this infinite Ultron, or like, what are we doing?
I like pulling people from different universes.
I think that'd be fun. We could get Star Lord T'Challa back.
We could get Star Lord T'Challa back with regular Chris Pratt Star Lord.
I don't think he would be regular though, right? Because at the end of the episode, Papa Ego comes and picks him up. So maybe he unlocks his like celestial side
in that universe, right? But if you're giving me T'Challa Star Lord from one universe, Star Lord from other universes still exists. So you can cherry pick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You could even just have a bunch of Captain Marvels if you really wanted to. Like, just
really could.
give me like 8, 10, 9, 10, 15,000
and that should do
Captain
the job,
Marvels,
pretty
right?
much.
Right.
That should do the job.
So, yeah, that's interesting. Though. I like that idea of just like cherry picking heroes from different universes who like had the best, quote unquote, or most developed storylines, and like putting them together to fight whatever's coming. So we'll see. I'm really interested to see how, the show, the producers, Kevin Feige and other people have said that everything that happens in What If is MCU canon. So I'm super excited to see how this is going to play out. If any of these storylines have actual ramifications for the live action movies coming or series coming to us. So excited.
Because I think we have about 2 episodes left. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to kind of wrap up the season and bring that into our MCU as we know it and how it's going to impact everything. It should be an interesting ride. I mean,
it's going to be a good time. We still got what's coming up next after? When is Eternals? I need to write these down, like when these things are coming out.
Eternals is coming out November 5th.
November 5th. But something's coming out in October?
October. Black Widow is coming to Disney Plus for free. Oh, Hawkeye.
Hawkeye starts in October? No, that starts Christmas,
no, it
doesn't it?
I lie. Hawkeye is November 24th. So I guess we're not getting really
anything in October.
I think they're just gonna finish off the What If episodes. The last episode is gonna be in October 6th, the same day that Black Widow drops, and then I guess then there's some free time, and then we get the Eternals.
Okay. Real quick, I'm excited for that. They just dropped the runtime for Eternals, and it's 2 hours and 36 minutes, I believe, which makes it the second longest MCU movie. And I'm just like, what?
Ooh.
So that should be interesting. And I'm wondering if anything that's happening in these episodes might be a clear run-in, like a clear lead up to that, since we have no background on the Eternals at all.
They definitely have a lot to explain. I think, like we've said plenty of times, we haven't read the comics, so we're not familiar with the Eternals and their story at all. So I think for a lot of fans, there's going to be a lot to explain about the Eternals, especially since there's a whole crew of them. We need to know their powers, where they've been, what they've been doing, and like how all of this is going to tie into the MCU. And obviously, we're heading towards a point of where we are getting bigger and bigger, right? Like we're getting these bigger power supered up heroes, and we're also getting bigger power supered up villains. So now we're bringing in Celestials and all these other intergalactic things happening, which is, it gives me a little bit of anxiety because I'm just like, how are you going to make this streamlined enough for the casual fans like us who don't have a lot of background, but also satisfy the comic book lovers who love all of that interwoven, weird, outer space kind of stuff? So 2 hours and 36 minutes sounds like they have a lot of explaining to do.
They do. And I would add to your comment just now about like how are they gonna make this big world streamlined for the casual fans, but detailed enough for the deeper fans, I'll call them for now. But also like, how are you gonna make it resonate with regular old humans like us on Earth, right? Like it's you're taking this big intergalactic story. It still has to resonate and feel real to a certain extent at some point. So all these universes, dimensions, and like all these different it feels very big right
Yeah,
now, and it's like I at some point in order for me to really care, it needs to come back home to Earth, I
yeah.
would assume in some capacity. um and I'm just they're going to be introducing so many new characters. It's just it's really blowing up in a way
It's a
that
lot.
I agree that there's some anxiety, but we did it with the Infinity Saga.
We did. They did. They
We
did. And
did
I
it
was
with the
gonna say,
Infinity
like,
Saga,
even
so
thinking of that end game scene, Avengers Assemble, where it's like everybody from like all of the movies, right? It's like, dang, if they even try to do something with that, like now, like, how massive is that gonna be? Um, but I think they definitely are very conscious of bringing some of the street level and like earthly feel as they're bringing in all this other outer space stuff. Because even when you look with Shang-Chi, right, when like the first major chunk of the movie, we're with him in San Francisco on the street learning about him. And then we get the mystical stuff after, right?
mhm.
The Eternals we see in the trailer, they come back down to earth and they're showing like how they were helping the people and doing all that kind of stuff. So, right. so it's definitely it's obviously something they're thinking about, but I'm just hoping that the execution
Mhm.
fits the plan. So we'll see.
We are going to see. And with that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you all so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the
Yes.
discussion. If you like what you hear, if you like the discussion, follow us on our social at Casual Fangirls _. We have a YouTube channel where we're uploading these to YouTube as well. Go like, subscribe. You'll be notified instantly whenever we upload a video. So do all that stuff, especially in the comments. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Let us know what you thought about our discussion today. If you feel like one of our like speculations is like more right than others, please like let us know in the comments. We will respond. We will interact.
Fight us.
Yes, it's like fight us. We be right at us, like at us for real. Like we don't be in other people's comments like arguing, but we'll be in our own comments argument. We got time. Okay. So like come at us. Like, we like honestly we really do love the discussion. That's why we started this particular just like these episodes that we're doing. Stay tuned for the podcast coming soon. And I think that's it, right? Anything else, Nessa?
That is it. That is it. You nailed it all.
Okay.
So closing up, I'm Nessa.
And I'm T, and we've been Casual Fangirls. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.